How y'all doing? Checking in. Still celebrating Black Dads. I want to highlight Mr. Jason Wilson. And if you haven't heard about him, he wrote 2 books, Cry Like a Man and Battle Cry. Woo! And what he doing is like addressing trauma, internal issues that men face and grow up with, starting from young boys to adulthood. He faced trauma. 2 of his older brothers was murdered. He grew up, had to figure life out, right? Got into martial arts and it taught him some things about himself. And now he's teaching other people, but starting with redefining what it is to be a man. A lot of times they say men shouldn't cry. Well, what happens if a man doesn't have that release? He bottle it up and it come out at the most inopportune times, and then you judge the man because he's not in control of his emotions. Jason is combating that, and I salute him, because not only is he doing it within himself, it extends to his family and how he treats his family, and now he's in the community with it. He's helped over 10,000 young men and boys deal with internal issues before they manifest into problems. Take a listen.
In the United States, the typical prison cell is about 6 to 8 feet, encased in steel walls and barred with a door that locks from the exterior. But there's another prison cell that holds more men captive than all the industrialized prisons in the world. What's extraordinary about this prison cell is that it locks from the inside and can only be inhabited by an inmate who voluntarily turns himself in. No warrant, just a good man who is tired of fighting to feel. Emotional incarceration is a self-imposed mental prison that confines a man's non-masculine emotions and isolates his heart from the world. Due to the lack of safe spaces for us to express our emotions, we choose to stay incarcerated to avoid being humiliated for just trying to be a human. Even Drake says in one of his songs, "I pop bottles because I bottle my emotions." But holding it in is dangerous, because when life shakes us, we eventually pop like bottles. It is no surprise that data shows in just about every country, men die by suicide 3 times as often as women. And when I ask men why they believe this is the case, they all agree the main reason is because we fear being vulnerable and will not express our emotions. And since crying is universally considered a violation of manhood, the only tears you will publicly see on a man's face are tattooed. As a result, those of us who've experienced trauma and are under significant stress struggle to release it. Biochemist Dr. William H. Frey discovered that emotionally induced tears contain not only water, but stress hormones that are released from the body through crying. So when you tell a boy, "Big boys don't cry," or a man, "Stop acting like a bee," you cut off their humanity and sentence them to a life of emotional misery and mental anguish. I continued suppressing my emotions until I almost lost the marriage and family the Most High blessed me with. I pursued psychotherapy and camaraderie that welcomed vulnerability, and learned how to release years of trauma and emotional pain that I had been conditioned to suppress in my heart and mind. I was finally free to feel.